Okay, welcome to our program, Marriage in the Family. Um, it is good again to have you all here today. Um, Today we'll be discussing a very important topic. Uh, we'll be discussing a very important topic today. We'll be discussing a very important topic. We will be discussing a very important topic. We're talking about the concept of marriage, and of course, um, we will be talking about on Thursday. On Thursday, we talk about it is not good for the man to be alone. It is not good for the man to be alone. And so today we'll look at this. We'll look at the other part. Um, we'll look at the other part of 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 that message, um, which is living and cleaving, living and cleaving. It says it's not good for the man to be alone. Therefore, a man will leave his mother, his father's house, and will cleave unto his wife, and they both shall become one. So we'll be looking at the living and the cleaving. The living and the cleaving must live in order to cleave. So that's what we'll be looking at. We'll look at the living and the cleaving. The living and the cleaving. Will leave his mother and his father, and will cleave unto his wife, and both shall become one. And they both shall become one. So that's what we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at the living and the cleaving. The living and the cleaving. It is important, and it's very important to know that. Um, it's very important to know the aspect of the living and the cleaving. The living and the cleaving is very important, and I think it is so important for each and every person to understand that. So yes, just stay tuned. That's what we'll be discussing. We'll be discussing the living and the cleaving aspect. Um, and so we'll be discussing that. I'm just trying to. I don't know. It's not coming. Yeah. Yep. So we'll be talking about that very important topic, um, living and the cleaving. That's what we'll be discussing. Say, for this reason, Genesis 2:24. So for this reason shall a man leave his mother and his father, and they both shall become one. The living and the cleaving, that's what we are going to discuss this evening. Um, that is important. That is very important. That's what we want to discuss this evening. The living and the cleaving. The living and the cleaving is very important. How we would do that. That's what I want to discuss briefly this evening. I want to discuss that briefly this evening. The living and the cleaving. The living and the cleaving. That's what I want to discuss briefly this evening. Yeah. So the living and the cleaving. I'm trying to figure out. I don't know if it's live on Facebook. I sure it is live on the Facebook, but I'm trying to. I'm just trying to paste the link there, and I'm not. I don't know. I'm not finding it. Can you paste the link in in a section so that anyone who wants to, just in case you want to, be on the show, you can just click the link and you'll be on. But I'm trying to find, I don't know what is going on, but I'm sure we are on live on Facebook. We are certainly live on Facebook. Yeah, so that's what I want to discuss. I want to discuss the leaving and the cleaving. Leaving and the cleaving. The Bible says, for this reason shall a man leave his mother and his father and cleave unto his wife, and they both shall become one. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to um, talk about the leaving and the cleaving, the leaving and the cleaving. That's what we want to discuss this evening. So yes, if you are there, we'll paste the link in the comment section, and then you can just add yourself there, or you can just click on the link, and then you will be live on. You'll be on live. Yeah. So stay with us, stay tuned as we discuss this important topic on this show tonight, or this evening, or this afternoon. I know the time difference, right? So in some areas it's in the afternoon, and some areas in the morning. Some areas afternoon, some areas in the morning. So yes, um, so we'll be looking at Genesis chapter 24, Genesis chapter 2, rather, verse 24, um, leaving and cleaving. So we look at Genesis chapter 22 and verse 24. It says, for this reason, therefore, shall a man leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh, one flesh. And so that's the aspect of the leaving. That's the aspect of the leaving. They say, for this reason, therefore, a man shall leave his mother and his father, and the both shall become one flesh. So let's look at the leaving. Let's look at the aspect of the leaving. The leaving. What does it mean to leave? They want to say, for this reason, shall a man leave his mother and his father, and they both shall become one flesh. What is what does it mean to leave? What does it mean to leave? What does it mean to leave? What does it really mean to leave? Because that's what it says. It says, for the reason a man will leave his mother and his father. So what does it mean to leave? To leave. Now, the word leave means to separate, to depart. To leave means to separate. To leave means to depart. It means to separate. It means to depart. So we talk about leaving. It means to separate. It means to depart. It means to separate. It means to depart. Or forsake as primary loyalty. Okay? Or forsake as primary loyalty. It means to depart. It means to leave or forsake as primary loyalty. In other words, in other words, um, in marriage, this doesn't mean abandoning or dishonoring your parents. No, that's not what it means. That is not the implication. When they talk about leaving, the implication is not to abandon them. No, that is not the implication. The implication is not to abandon your parents. Okay, it is not talking about abandoning your parents. That is not what it means. That is not the implication. The implication is not to abandon your parents or dishonor them. Okay, but it does mean to shift priority and allegiance. It means to shift priority and allegiance. They say, for this reason, a man shall leave. You leaving. Leaving means to depart, to separate, to abandon, or to depart rather, to separate and to forsake as primary loyalty. So it is not abandonment. It's not mean, you leave your mother and your father, that you abandon them. No. What it means is that you shift priority and allegiance. You shift priority and allegiance. So, because marriage establishes a new family unit, is establishment of a new family unit, husband and a wife. So, when you leave now, your priority is to this new family that you're establishing. That's what it means. It means that your priority is to the new family that you are establishing. Your priority is no longer there. Your loyalty now is to this family. So this new family comes first. That's what it means. This new family comes first. So, but why is leaving important? Why is it important to leave? Why is leaving important? Now, leaving establishes independence, right? It establishes independence. A couple cannot thrive if still overly controlled by parents or others. You cannot be a couple and you still honor your father or your mother's control, or you still honor somebody's control. So leaving is important in order to establish independence. To establish independence. That's the first thing. Establish independence. Because as a couple, you need to have the freedom to live as couples. You can't be under your father or your mother guardians or under somebody else's control. No, to establish independence. Now, marriage, the living is important because it helps to protect the marriage bond. It protects the marriage bond. Divided loyalties weaken unity. Divided loyalty weakens unity. So your loyalty is there, your loyalty is there. So what is the unity? Unity will be weakened. Divided loyalty weakens unity. It weakens unity. Divided loyalty weakens unity. Divided loyalty weakens unity. Now, but also to live is important because it encourages maturity. It encourages maturity. To live is important because living encourages maturity. It encourages maturity. Now, marriage requires making decisions together without constant internal interference. That's what it is. When you're married, it requires that you make decisions together without constant internal interference. So living is important because it encourages maturity. And living is important because it honors God's order. It honors the order of God. God designed marriage as a primary relationship after Him. He designed marriage as a primary relationship after Him. But also, it's now. So now we talk about leaving, right? Address leaving first. Now, and it talks about leaving and the cleaving. So now we are addressing the leaving first. We are now addressing the leaving first. So what does it mean to leave? Leave, the word leave means separate, depart, or forsake as primary loyalty. It does not mean that you abandon your family. No, it means that you shift your loyalty. That's all. You shift your loyalty because now the new family you're establishing through your marriage now becomes your priority, not your. It now becomes your priority. Okay. It just means that you shift priority and allegiance because marriage now establishes a new family unit. It is the family unit that you have established that you need to be loyal to and not that one. So that's when you leave that one, you cut off, establish this one, and your full loyalty is here. And I say, why is it important to leave? Because leaving establishes independence. It establishes independence. Now, you cannot thrive as couples if you are under the control of your parents or somebody else's control. So when you leave, it's the establishment of independence. But it also protects the marriage bond because divided loyalty weakens unity. Divided loyalty weakens unity. Leaving is important because it also encourages maturity. Remember now, you have to make decisions together. And those decisions need to be made without internal interference. Without internal interference. Okay? And leaving is important because it honors God. It honors God. God designed for marriage as the primary relationship after Him. Okay. Now, areas of leaving, areas you need to leave, areas that you need to leave. You need to leave emotionally. You need to leave emotionally. In other words, you need to detach emotionally. Leave emotionally. In other words, stop depending primarily on your parents for comfort, advice, or approval. That's emotional. So emotionally, you have to leave. Emotional leaving. You have to stop depending on your parents for comfort, for advice, for approval. Your spouse becomes your closest confidant. Your spouse becomes your closest confidant. Your spouse. So you got to leave emotionally. But you also got to leave financially. There has to be a financial leaving. Now, learning to build, you got to learn to build your own household financially. You learn to build your own household financially. So leaving financially, it means that you no longer depend on them. And you got to avoid over dependence on family handouts that weakens responsibility. You got to avoid over dependence on family handouts that weakens responsibility. So you also have to leave relational leaving. In other words, you got to set healthy boundaries with friends, with siblings, and extended family. You got to set healthy boundaries. It means you got to prioritize your spouse above all other relationships. You got to prioritize your spouse above all other relationships. But also you got to leave cultural and traditional living. Cultural and traditional living. You got to let go of traditions or expectations that conflict with God's design. You got to let go of traditions or culture that conflicts with God's design for marriage. Now, dangers of not leaving. The dangers if you don't leave, if you are still hooked on. There will be constant interference from family. Constant interference. If you don't leave, that's a danger. There will be constant interference. There will be lack of intimacy and trust in the marriage. Lack of intimacy and trust in the marriage. There will be dependence dependence that prevents maturity, and confusion over who comes first. So when you don't leave, that's when the mother will have to come in the house and dictate things. When you don't leave, that's when family members will come and dictate things. When you don't leave, that's why they come. And so the danger of not leaving is that there will be constant interference from family members. There'll be lack of intimacy and trust in the marriage. There's no intimacy. There'll be dependence, because dependency prevents maturity. And be confusion over who comes first. That's why he says, you hear somebody say, oh, but it's my mother. If she didn't give birth to me, how will you? Come on. That means you have not left. You have not left. If you're saying that's my mother, if she didn't give birth to me, how are you going to marry me? No, that's child stuff. That means you have not left yet. It means that you have not left yet. You have not left yet. And that's the danger of not leaving. That's the danger of not leaving. That is the danger of not leaving. That's the danger of not leaving. And then you come and then they say you leave and cleave. Leave and cleave. Leave and cleave. Now in Genesis 2:24, it says, and then it says, and be joined, cleave to his wife, and they shall both become one flesh. Cleave. And in the Hebrew word for cleave is dabak, which means to cling to stick, hold fast, pursue closely, or be glued together. Or be glued together. So what does it mean to cleave? What does the word cleave? What does it mean to cleave? To cleave means to form permanent, unbroken attachment with your spouse. To cleave means to form permanent, unbroken attachment with your spouse. That's what it means to cleave. It is not just physical intimacy. No. It is, but it's emotional, it is spiritual, and it's covenantal bonding. So it's not just physical. It's not just physical intimacy, no. It is emotional, it is spiritual, and it's covenantal bonding. Yeah, covenantal bonding. Now, cleaving involves commitment. Cleaving involves commitment, it involves loyalty and faithfulness. Now, no matter the season, no matter the season, it involves commitment, loyalty, and faithfulness. That's what cleaving involves. Cleaving involves loyalty, faithfulness, no matter the season. So yes, in Genesis 24, 2:24b, it said, and be joined, cleave to his wife, and the both shall become one flesh. So in other words, it means that the two will click together, the two will stick together, they will hold fast together, they will be glued together. That's what it means. To cling means glued together. And what are the characteristics of living? What are the characteristics of living? It means permanence. Permanence, live permanence. It means no trial run, no trial run or escape route. Marriage is a lifelong covenant. It's a lifelong covenant. Read Matthew 19:6. Marriage is a lifelong covenant. So it means permanence. It also means loyalty. Loyalty, talk about characteristics of marriage. Permanence and loyalty. Choosing your spouse above all other people, even in difficult times. You choose your spouse above all other people, even in difficult times. Characteristics of cleaving. Intimacy. Cleaving requires transparency, trust, and consistent effort to connect. Cleaving requires transparency, trust, and consistent effort to connect. That's the characteristics. Unity. Two different individuals work together in harmony and purpose. That's what Amos 3:3 says. There must be agreement, unity. He said, can two work together except there's unity, except there's agreement? So another characteristics of cleaving is unity. And of course, the last characteristics of cleaving is faithfulness, protecting the marriage from anything or anyone that seeks to divide it. Protecting their marriage from anything or anyone that seeks to divide the marriage. So we talk about the leaving. Now we talk about cleaving. Cleaving. What does it mean to cleave? To cleave means to leave. To cleave is to form a permanent, unbroken attachment, unbreakable attachment with your spouse. Remember that I said unbreakable attachment. That means the cord of love that cannot be broken. Unbreakable attachment. It is not just a physical intimacy. No, it's emotional, it's spiritual. It is a covenantal bond. It involves commitment, loyalty, and faithfulness. It doesn't matter which season. You must be committed. You must be loyal. You must be faithful at all times. And the characteristics is permanence, loyalty, intimacy, unity, and faithfulness. So the next thing is how can you cleave practically? How do you cleave practically? Practically. How do you cleave practically? Practically. And again, if you are watching, and I want to say, if you're watching and you want to be part of the show, the link is in the comment section. Just click the link and you will be on. Click the link and you will be on. And yeah, and you will be on. Just click the link and there you go, you will be on. So yes, yeah, that's it. Just click the link. Click the link, and then if you are using a phone, you can please copy the link and and paste it in your browser. If you're using a computer, yes, you can just click straight, you'll be on. Okay, you'll be on. So how do you cleave practically? How? How do you cleave practically? You know, but also please follow us on our marriage in the family page. Just tap in marriage in the family, and you see a little beautiful red and blue and gold image design, which is the logo. And just follow us, like and follow us on our page, marriage and the family. Okay. So how do you cleave practically? Number one, prioritize time together. Prioritize time together. Nurture emotional closeness. Nurture emotional closeness. Yes, you got to prioritize time together. Prioritize time together. Nurture emotional closeness. Emotional closeness. How do you cleave practically? Point number two, communicate openly and honestly. Communicate openly and honestly. Build trust. Build trust. Communicate openly and honestly. And that is building trust. Learn, do everything to build trust. How do you cleave practically? Support each other in victories and in struggles. Support each other in victories and in struggles. Support each other. How do you cleave practically? How do you cleave practically? Forgive quickly. See, because unity cannot survive bitterness. Unity cannot survive bitterness. Mm-mm. And unity cannot survive. Whether it's bitterness, unity cannot survive. Unity cannot survive where there is bitterness. So forgive quickly. That's how you can cleave practically. How do you cleave practically? Pray together. Pray together. Spiritual intimacy strengthens physical and emotional bonds. Spiritual intimacy strengthens physical and emotional bonds. So pray together. Pray together. How do you cleave practically? Guard the relationship. Guide the relationship. Now avoid inappropriate attachments that threatens loyalty. Avoid inappropriate attachments that threatens loyalty. So, oh yeah, how do you protect? How do you cleave practically? Prioritize time together. Nurture emotional closeness. Communicate openly and honestly. In other words, build trust. Support each other in victories and in struggles. Forgive quickly, because unity will never survive in bitterness. Pray together. Spiritual intimacy strengthens physical and emotional bonds. And guide the relationship. Avoid inappropriate attachment that threatens loyalty. Avoid inappropriate attachments that threatens loyalty. Inappropriate attachments that threatens loyalty. Avoid that. Avoid inappropriate attachment that threatens loyalty. Now, are there blessings in leaving? Yeah, there are blessings of cleaving. Oh yeah, there are blessings in cleaving. When you cleave, there are blessings in cleaving. And what are the blessings in cleaving? The blessings in cleaving, number one blessing is that it produces oneness. It produces oneness, two lives blended into one purpose. Two lives blended into one purpose. So, oh yes, number one blessing of cleaving is that it produces oneness. We have two lives blended together into one purpose. Two lives blended together. Another blessings of cleaving is that it brings stability. It brings stability. Couples who cleave together, weather storms better. When they cleave, couples who cleave weather storms better. It brings stability. It brings stability. Another blessing, it reflects Christ in the church. Another blessing for cleaving, it reflects Christ and the church. Couples who cleave, Jesus is inseparably united with his bride. Jesus is inseparably united with his bride. So, oh yeah, benefits of cleaving. There are benefits of cleaving. There are benefits of cleaving. It produces oneness. It produces oneness. You got two lives blended into one. It brings stability. I don't care whatever storm that comes, the couples, they are able to weather the storm. They are able to weather a storm. So sometimes the question is, are you fully cleaving to your spouse, or do you still allow distance or divisions between the both of you? Are you fully cleaving to your spouse? Are you fully cleaving to your spouse, or do you allow distance or division between the both? In what ways can you intentionally build a deeper bond of love and trust with your spouse? How does Christ's commitment to his church inspire your commitment to your marriage? Those are important questions. Those are questions that needs to be answered. Now, the Bible says they will leave and cleave. So now we've looked at leaving and we look at cleaving. And then the Bible says they shall become one flesh. The Bible says then they shall become one flesh. So look at the leaving and the cleaving. We look at the leaving and the cleaving. The Bible says they shall become one flesh. They shall become one flesh. So look at the leaving, the cleaving, and now lastly, I want to look at one flesh. The Bible says they shall become one flesh. In Genesis 2:24, it said, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and they both shall be one flesh. Become one flesh. Now, what does it mean when we talk about one flesh? What does it mean? Talk about one flesh. Now, when we talk about one flesh, is more than physical intimacy. It's more than physical intimacy. We talk about one flesh. It is total unity in every area of life. Total unity in every area of life. That's what it means. One flesh. Complete unity in every area of life. whether it's spiritual, whether it's emotional, or physical, or relational. It's complete unity. Complete unity spiritually, complete unity emotionally, complete unity physically, complete unity relationally. That's what it means, one flesh. One flesh. Now, and the Hebrew idea is that two lives are forced into one. Two lives are fused into one. Two lives fused into one. So no longer separate identities. No longer separate identities competing, but a partnership in harmony. A partnership in harmony. And Jesus affirms this in Matthew 19:6. He says, so they are no longer two but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man separate. So that's what it means, one flesh. The Bible says they shall become one flesh. And that becoming that one flesh is more than physical intimacy. It is total unity in every area of life, whether it's physical, whether it's relational, whether it's emotional, or whether it's spiritual. It's complete unity in every area of life. When the Bible said they both shall become one flesh. Now, let's look at the dimensions of becoming one flesh. The dimensions of becoming one flesh. Number one, the first dimension is spiritual oneness. Spiritual oneness. In other words, you sharing faith, prayer, and worship as the foundation of the marriage. Dimension of becoming one flesh is spiritual oneness. Spiritual oneness. So that means you share faith, prayer, and worship as the foundation of the marriage. Ecclesiastes 4:12. Another dimension is emotional oneness. Emotional oneness. Building intimacy through trust, communication, and vulnerability. Building intimacy through trust, through communication, and vulnerability. That's the second dimension. The third dimension is physical oneness. I mean, talk about sexual union as God's gift to express love and strengthens the marital bond. There's a physical oneness. And of course, we got purpose oneness. Walking together in life's mission. Walking together in life mission, values and goals. Walking together in life missions, values and goals. Amos 3:3. That is the dimensions of becoming one flesh. So we see what one flesh means and the dimensions of one flesh. The dimension of one flesh. And of course, there will always be barriers to oneness. So let's look at the barriers or the stumbling block to oneness. The hindrances to oneness, in other words. What are the hindrances to oneness? Number one is selfishness and pride. Selfishness and pride. When one insists on their own way, when one insists on their own way, lack of forgiveness, unresolved conflicts builds walls. Unresolved conflict builds walls. Another barrier to oneness is outside interference. Family, friends, or unfaithful attachments. Outside interference. Another barrier or hindrance is spiritual neglect. Drifting from God weakens the marriage bond. When you drift away from God, it weakens the marriage bond. Drifting from God weakens the marriage bond. It weakens it. It weakens the marriage bond. When you drift away from God, it weakens the marriage bond. It weakens the marriage bond. So that is the barriers to oneness, or what we call the hindrances to oneness. Hindrances to oneness. And there are keys. There are keys to living as one flesh. And what are those keys to living as one flesh? And they are very important keys. Very, very important keys. That allows you, that makes you live as one flesh. Number one key is mutual submission. Number one key is mutual submission. Mutual submission is number one key. Mutual submission. Mutual submission is number one key. Now, what is mutual submission? What is mutual submission? In Ephesians 5:21, it says submit one to another out of reference for God. So mutual submission it means yielding in love, in humility and respect, not out of force or control. So mutual submission means, are you yielding in love, in humility and respect, and not out of force or control? Now, Paul begins the marriage instruction, Ephesians 5:22-23, by first calling on both husband and wife to submit to one another. So it is not about one dominating the other, no. It's about both yielding to Christ and serving each other in love. That's what mutual submission is. Now, how does mutual submission work in marriage? How does it work in marriage? Husbands submit by loving sacrificially. A husband leads by serving, not by holding, not by lording over his wife. No. Wives submit by respecting and honoring their husbands. Respect creates space for love to flourish. Respect creates space for love to flourish. Together, they both submit to Christ as the head and to each other in partnership. And why is submission important? Submission is important to build harmony. No power struggle, but teamwork. Why is submission important? Submission fosters love and respect. Each partner feels valued. Why is submission important? Submission reflects Christ and the church. It's a picture of servant leadership and joyful submission. Why is submission important? Because it protects against selfishness. Both are called to humility. What are the practical ways to live in mutual submission? Practical ways to live in mutual submission. Practical ways. Decision making together. Making decisions together. Listening and valuing each other's opinions. Listening and valuing each other's opinions. Serving one another. Meeting needs before your own. Meeting needs before your own. Serving one another. Yielding preferences. Sometimes letting go of my way for the sake of unity. Honoring gifts and strength. Allowing each partner to lead where they are stronger. praying together, submitting to God first, so that you submit to each other in peace. Those are practical ways of submission. Those are practical ways of submission. Practical ways of submission. But also, apart from mutual submission, there must be open communication. Open communication. Must be open communication. Now, in Proverbs 15:1, they say a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. In James 1:19, they say everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to become angry. So why is communication important in marriage? Communication is the lifeline of marriage. It's the lifeline of marriage. Without communication, misunderstandings will grow. Misunderstandings will grow without communication. Through open and honest dialogue, couples build trust, they build intimacy, and build unity. Why is it important? The communication, why is it important in marriage? Because God designed for marriage is for oneness. And that oneness cannot exist without healthy communication. That oneness cannot exist without healthy communication. No, it cannot exist without healthy communication. Our oneness cannot exist without healthy communication. Healthy communication is key, is needed. Cannot exist without healthy communication. That's why it's important. Now, the question is, what does open communication look like? What does an open communication look like? We talk about open communication. We're talking about listening attentively. Not just hearing words, but understanding the heart. Not just hearing words, but understanding the heart. Now, there are many people who just listen only to respond. And many times we need to listen to understand. And in marital relationship, you must listen to understand, not just to respond. Listen to understand. Communication is lifeline in marriage. It is important. So, open communication, it looks like listening attentively, not just hearing words, but understand the heart. It means speaking truth in love, honesty without cruelty. Honesty without cruelty. What does it look like? Gentle responses, calming conflicts instead of escalating them, calming conflict instead of escalating them. Respond gently. What does open communication look like? It looks like transparency, no hidden secrets that breaks trust. No hidden secrets, because hidden secrets break trust. What does open communication look like? It looks like respect, valuing your spouse's feelings, and even when you disagree, but value their feelings. So again, if you just joining us, I want to encourage you to please go like our page, our official page, Marriage and a Family. Just type in Marriage and a Family. You see a little beautiful painting, red, blue, and gold. And just like us and follow us on our page, Marriage and a Family. That's where we do most of our posting, and you can see the logo in the background of this video. the logo is in the background. It's that same logo that you're going to see. So like and follow us on that page. And I want to say thank you. Now, just in case, like I said, if you want to participate, maybe you want to give your own input, I will be glad to bring you on. The link is in the comment section. You can click on the link, or better still, if you're using your phone, you can just you can copy the link and paste it in your browser, and I will see you and I'll bring you on. I don't know, but if you're using an iPhone, it should go straight through. I don't know about that, but I think also maybe the iPhone, I don't know what I need to copy it, but I know if you're using an Android, you can just copy the link and paste the link in the browser, and then I will see you and I will bring you on. Or better still, if you got questions, you can just post your questions in the comment section, and then we will be able to see you through. Okay, and I can see my brother Neville, Mike. Thank you for watching. I see Mike Neville. Thank you for watching. Um, and I hope Sister Game is doing fine. Yeah, good to see you on. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's what open communication look like. It look like listening attentively. It look like speaking truth in love. It look like gentle responses. It look like transparency. It look like respect. That's what open communication look like. Listen attentively. Don't just hear words. Hear the heart that is speaking. Don't just listen to respond, but listen to understand. That's what open communication look like. Look like listening attentively. It look like speaking truth in love. Honesty without cruelty. That's what it is. It look like gentle response. That's what open communication look like. It look like open response or a gentle response. Calming conflicts instead of escalating them. It look like transparency. That's what open communication looked like. No hidden secrets. Because you know what? Hidden secrets break trust. Open communication look like respect. You got to value your spouse's feelings, even when you disagree. You got to value their feelings, even when you disagree. That's what it look like. Now, can we look at barriers or hindrances to open communication? Of course, there are hindrances, there are barriers, there are stumbling blocks, whatever way you call them, to open communication. Number one stumbling block or number one barrier will be pride and unwillingness to admit wrong. Pride and unwillingness to admit wrong is a stumbling block. It's a barrier. Pride and unwillingness to admit wrong. Pride and unwillingness to admit wrong. But then there's also have anger. Anger that shuts down communication, conversation. Anger. You know, anger has a way of shutting down conversation. You start talking to somebody, whoop, shut down. It's also a barrier to communication, to open communication. Pride and unwillingness to admit when you are wrong. Anger that shuts down conversations. And keeping secrets or avoiding difficult topics are stumbling blocks to communication. Those are barriers or stumbling block or hindrances to communication. Negative communication style. Negative communication style like criticism, sarcasm, and blame. Those are negative communication style. You want to be sarcastic. You want to blame, criticize. Those are all stumbling blocks, or those are barriers or hindrances to open communication. Open communication. Those are all hindrances or stumbling blocks to open communication. But also, there are keys to cultivating open communication. There are keys to cultivating open communication. There are keys to cultivating open communication. Key number one, pray together before discussing sensitive issues. Pray together before discussing sensitive issues. Key number two, create safe spaces, times where each partner can share without fear of judgment. Create safe spaces. Key number three, practice forgiveness. Don't keep bringing up past mistakes. Oh, that way you did it last time. Oh, you did this the same thing last year, 2 years ago. No, don't keep thinking. Stop. Don't keep bringing up past mistakes. Practice forgiveness. And use I statements. Express how you feel instead of attacking. I feel hurt. No. Instead of you always. And daily checks in. Talk beyond schedules and bills. Share hearts, dreams, and struggles. Listen, that's what the Bible says. The Bible says, for this reason, a man shall leave. So we'll there we're leaving and cleaving and becoming one flesh. So you can ask yourself these questions. Am I a good listener, or do I listen? Do I often interrupt or dismiss my spouse's feelings? Am I a good listener, or do I interrupt or dismiss their feelings? Do I speak truth in love, or do my words sometimes wound instead of heal? What practical step can I take today to improve communications in my marriage? What practical step can I take today to improve my steps in my marriage? What practical communication? What practical communication can I take today to improve my steps in my marriage? Both shall become one flesh. Both shall become one flesh. And then we talk about that. So now, again, just to summarize quickly, the Bible says, for this reason, a man will leave his mother and his father, and they both shall become one flesh. So look at the cleaving, look at leaving. And leaving, what does leaving means? Why is leaving important? Areas of leaving and dangers to leaving. We look at that. But we'll also look at the cleaving. What does it mean to cleave? What are the characteristics of cleaving? How does one cleave in a practical way? How does one cleave practically? The blessings of cleaving. And we'll talk about becoming one flesh. What does it mean to become one flesh? The dimension of becoming one flesh. The barriers to becoming one flesh. The keys to becoming one flesh. The keys to becoming one flesh. That's what we look at. The keys to becoming one flesh. So look at the barriers to becoming one flesh. We look at the keys to becoming one flesh. Oh yeah, it's important. The keys to becoming one flesh. That is important. It's important. It's so important. Open communication and the keys to becoming one flesh. So listen, folks. That is That's what we wanted to share today. So the both shall become one flesh. So what are the keys to becoming one flesh? Mutual submission. Submit to each other out of reference. Mutual submission. Submit to each other out of reference. Oneness begins with humility. Oneness begins with humility. Both husband and wife choosing to yield, serve, and to honor each other. Submission is not weakness. No, submission is not weakness, but it's rather a strength under control, producing harmony. Submission is not weakness. Submission is strength under control, producing harmony. Sacrificial love. Keys to living as one flesh. Sacrificial love. Husband and wife. Just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Love is not selfish or conditional, but is willing to give, serve, and to sacrifice. Sacrificial love creates safety and trust where oneness can flourish. Open communication. Everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to become angry. Honest, gentle, and respectful communication breaks down walls and deepens intimacy. And oneness cannot coexist or cannot exist without transparency and active listening. And covenant faithfulness. What God has joined together, let no one separate. Matthew 19:6. Faithfulness is more than avoiding idolatry. It means being loyal in heart, in mind, and in action. Oneness requires trust. Trust grows through consistent commitment. And we talk about keys to becoming one flesh. Share vision and purpose. Again, Amos 3:3, can two walk together except they agree? Couples thrive when they agree on values, on priorities, and goals. Oneness grows when you dream, when you plan, and you build life together and not separately. Characteristics of becoming one: forgiveness and grace. Bear with each other, forgive each other. Mistakes and offenses will come, but unforgiveness creates division. Oneness is preserved through a lifestyle of mercy and reconciliation. And of course, spiritual intimacy. Spiritual intimacy. A cord of three strands is not quickly broken. Ecclesiastes 4:12. Couples who pray together, worship together, and seek God together experience deeper unity. God is the glue that binds marriage into true oneness. God is the glue that binds marriage into true oneness. So, well, that's all I wanted to share for today. And I want to say thank you for listening. If you got questions, again, follow us on our official page, Marriage and the Family. Please go there, like our page, follow us, like our page. And again, until next week, Tuesday, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful weekend. And I pray the Lord will bless you, the Lord will keep you. And tomorrow is Sunday. Go to church, worship God, pray. And I pray that, that Lord will and you see fresh strength for the new week that is ahead. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.